Hello, and my name is CJ, and I'm here to talk to you everything there is about sliders. And this is the Sliders Review. And today, I'm here to talk to you about Wade. Wade was played by Sabrina Lloyd. She's a very beautiful and very lovely woman. She's a bit of a tomboy. She has a huge heart for her friends. She's the hopeful, romantic type. And she's just very spunky and very happy and joyful. But she also has a huge crush on Quinn, which Quinn, he kind of has a bit of a crush on her too, but he sees her more as kind of like the sister type. Plus, with sliding to different worlds, he's kind of like Rembrandt, where he just wants to have a good time with a lady. So we constantly see this kind of will they, won't they kind of relationship that those two will have. Now, Wade, she is not a scientist. And in fact, she goes to community college where she studies poetry and astrological sign type stuff. She has a bit of love for when it comes to witchcraft. But for the most part, because she is not a scientist like Rembrandt, she really doesn't help the team out much when it comes to certain little things, especially when it comes to saving the world. But the thing about Wade that I love, she's very highly opinionated, and even though she's not a scientist, she will give her opinions on how to better people's lives when she goes to other different worlds. In the pilot episode, she is the one that convinces Quinn that, you know, we should all take this trip around the multiverse and just have a good old time, and she's the one who also tells him that to increase the power on his timer, which causes a slide wave and causes the portal to leave his basement and goes into the street, which causes Rembrandt to get sucked into. So even though Remy puts all the blame on Quinn, he never puts that blame on Wade, mainly because he probably doesn't know that she is the one who told him to increase the power. But if he probably found out, then he would probably blame her too. The only nicknames that she has is Girl, which Rembrandt gives her, and Miss Wells is what the professor calls her because, you know, he's very classical and stuff like that. But even though she is not a scientist, unlike Rembrandt, she's not selfish. She's the type of person that will go along with the group and try to help them solve whatever problem they have. Mainly because she doesn't want to get lost and left behind. And because she's very caring, that's pretty much like her new found family. One of the people that Wade kind of has a problem with is the professor. The professor sees Wade as being kind of this dopey, stupid girl who's just in it for thrills, and she doesn't like his arrogance. She's tired of his little rude mouth and how he's always able to judge people based on either appearances or personalities. In the episode Fever, she is the one who actually gets infected by the Q virus and gives it to her friends. In that episode, we really start to see just how much she's in love with Quinn, that way she has a hallucination, that way he's telling her, oh, he's always loved her, he wants to be with her, calling her baby and angel, that kind of stuff. In the episode Summer of Love, even though it doesn't focus much on Wade, it has pretty much some good development in her. We start to find out that she's all about astrological signs and people expressing a deeper desire for the unnatural and the spiritual plane. And so while she's on that world, she's heavily influencing these hippie people, and it's actually the professor towards the end that gets on to her about how she should keep her mouth shut and not interfere in these people's lives. In the episode Last Days, she's down there trying to give moral support to Quinn because Quinn is extremely frantic about how they're all about to die before it's time for them to slide. And it's actually the first time we actually get to see him and her kiss. The character of Wade is still growing from the last season. Wade is starting to show a little bit more backbone now. She's still highly opinionated, but now she is a little bit more helpful to her teammates. She goes out and talks to local townspeople, trying to get an understanding of what's going on and how to help her friends get out of the peril in which they are in. She still has a huge passion for wanting to help people, and she's still the hopeless romantic. And now she's starting to see that Quinn doesn't share the same feelings as she does, and so her huge crush that she once had on him is starting to fade away. But even though she doesn't love him as a lover would, she still loves him as her best friend, and she would do anything for him. One skill in which Wade provides is her ability to use computers. Because she worked at a computer store in the first season, she is able to use this skill, but doesn't use it very often. By season 3, we still see her character development, in which she is still able to get information out to local people. She also is still highly opinionated and is still willing to help people on other Earths on which she does not know. In the episode State of Art, when the professor is help repairing an android, him and Wade have a huge discussion about whether or not androids are actually living beings. He feels as though they are just a toaster, whereas she feels though even though they are synthetic, they are still considered living and real. A nice little side note is before the professor died, in the episode Fire Within, we actually discovered that Wade wants to have a baby. The only time we see real character development in her is when Maggie comes aboard. Maggie and Wade do not get along whatsoever. Wade doesn't like the fact that Quinn picks her over them, and she doesn't like the fact that Maggie talks ill of the now deceased professor. She doesn't like Maggie's lust for blood, and she doesn't like her attitude or arrogance. So we start to see the Wade character is now breaking down and is no longer in control of her emotions the way she used to be. In a very stupid episode in which I hate, entitled Stoker, is a vampire episode. And yes, I said it, a vampire episode. In that episode, after losing Professor and all her emotions breaking down, she starts to unwind by hanging out with this group of vampires that have her slightly under some mind control. In that episode, we learn out that not only can she sing, but she's now starting to heal herself by doing dangerous things. And in fact, she endangered the lives of the other sliders, as the vampires are trying to eat them. In the last episode, The Slider Paradise, this is when we lose Wade. At the very end of the episode, Quinn pushes both her and Remy into the vortex that leads back to Earth Prime. Because Sabrina and Kari were having huge problems in real life apparently, Sabrina decided she quit. So by the time we get into the 4th season, in which Wade never appears in, it is stated that she is sent off to a Cro-Mag breeding camp. And apparently, she was supposed to reappear back in the 5th season. But her and the producers were having a problem, so they only used her audio in that episode, because I guess somehow the Cro-Mags gave her telepathy powers, and she was able to communicate with Rembrandt. But then something happens, I'm not sure because I've never seen that season, I just remember reading about it a long time ago. I think something happens to where Wade's voice starts to fade out, and she later dies for some reason. And that is the end of Wade. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed yourself. I'll talk to you later. Bye.